at home and abroad.
Yeah,
So he's streaming his live. Just hang on, be with us, and
we
listen.
we are live already. Thank
Yes,
you
we're
so
live.
much for we are live already. Thank you so much for joining us in Brazil, and this is the third time you're speaking with us. If I'm quite right. Uh, Before anything at all, can you say hello to Nigerians in Brazil?
Well, I'm saying hello to Nigerians in Brazil and all over the world because this is being broadcast live all over the world. So it's nice to be back with you guys in Brazil.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is Adeyinka Olaiya from Brazil.
Obrigado.
Obrigado. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, this is Adeyinka Olaiya from Brazil. Once again, we having with us comrade OMOYELE SOWORE, an activist, a Nigerian human rights activist, who's been to some a problem to President Tinubu. That's it. Let's put it that way. Uh, Professor OMOYELE SOWORE, Doctor, comrade, somebody I've been I've been his fan for quite ages. Let me put it that way. Uh, Before we do you have anything to say? My problem is your problem. Your problem is my problem. Omolesho, please, what do you have for us in the diaspora if tomorrow you become the president of Nigeria?
Well, this is a very interesting question. Uh, I don't even know where to start to discuss diaspora life because it's a life I lived for 20 something years. I was in the diaspora and I traveled everywhere, possibly where there are Nigerians. And I understand that the diaspora has become the foreign investor to Nigeria. And if we are talking about diaspora, you're talking about an economic bloc. You're talking about the professional bloc. You're talking about also the philanthropy bloc. The diaspora has become the backbone of Nigeria, but the diaspora has not been treated by Nigerian leaders the way any serious country treats its diaspora. The diaspora doesn't even vote in Nigeria. They don't even think about you when they're thinking about allowing people to vote. The diaspora doesn't enjoy much except from their families, even though they've been part of an economic bloc that makes this country work. Without the diaspora, the Nigerian economy probably would have collapsed. So I would start by ensuring that we pass the Diaspora Voting Act. I would make a law specifically that helps diaspora to return home and support our economy. I will have a situation where people who are retired in the professional sector in diaspora can be returned home to come and assist. If you're a doctor and you're no longer working in the US and you're still in your 70s, I'd love to have you come back to work in our hospitals, help you relocate and ease you into our medical system. A nurse, any professional person, engineers that is still out there, retired in the diaspora sector, but we can bring home. I will make sure that I ease their return back to, and also create opportunities and spaces for the diaspora to be eased back home and be given the incentive to return and stay and be safe. Because one of the biggest problem with the diaspora community is that people don't want to come back home because they're afraid. And the diaspora is no longer just the person who left. The diaspora is the person who left and the family they created while there. So anybody you want to return, you also want to make sure they return their families back because these families have also become part of our very great human resource that can make this country work. Let me give you an example of what I said. When we want to go and play basketball on an international scale, where do we go to look for the best? The diaspora. Some of them have never been to Nigeria. We just go and look for a passport and give them a Nigerian passport. Yeah, go and play basketball.
Yeah, yeah,
The same
yeah,
thing
that's
with
it.
soccer. We want to play soccer. We go to diaspora to look for the best soccer players. We're looking for representation in some very serious spaces. But when we want to go and have serious conversation about the future, then we forget the diaspora. We only want them to be playing football and soccer for us, and to be sending money home through Western Union. That's not how to treat your diaspora. When India wanted to develop seriously, they had to make laws specifically to help diaspora return home, to give them a special status so that they're incentivized to return home. I'm not saying that you should create a diaspora return that's become an oppressive class. No. But if they have something to offer the country, we must help them return home. And and at when it comes to where they live, to make it easy for them to get services. Somebody want to get a passport, it shouldn't be hard if you're in diaspora. We should be able to say, look, you want to fill in form online, and do some online thing, and we send you your passport. You know, we should even have people who can go and help people get passport from city to city in the diaspora, because that's one of the things people need the most, so that they can return home. So these are services that and efforts that will be made, but I will have specific policies through legislation that encourages the diaspora return or support to our system, and to specifically recognize the fact that they mean a lot to us. Let them vote in elections, like diasporas of Sierra Leone, Liberia, South Africa. They are voting. I don't know. Nigeria acts as if it hates its diaspora. That's what I don't understand.
Uh, thank you very much for that. Moyele, it's about the we've been practicing democracy for about 20 years now. If I'm if I'm if I'm right, in your own opinion, as a candidate, and why is democracy not being translated into our real development for ordinary Nigerian? Why is democracy not working in Nigeria?
Because see, you have to understand democracy from the point of view of the fact that first, it is a government that was designed by foreigners. Just like we borrowed religion, we borrowed democracy too, right? It's said to be from the USA, America. And I want to say that the biggest problem with democracy now is that even the country that invented democracy is no longer practicing democracy. I'm talking about the US. So it gives the opportunity to, I'm sorry to say, the riffraffs on the continent of Africa who reluctantly are asked to practice democracy because America forces them to. They found a way out because the police the people that police democracy are no longer practicing democracy. They are worse than dictators. They are worse than you know fascists. They are worse than autocrats. So that's but to come to Nigeria, democracy that we have wasn't the democracy practiced by people who understand democracy. You understand? How did you hear about democracy? You went to school, right? And they taught you about democracy in secondary school. The people who are practicing democracy in Nigeria, most of them didn't even go to school today. The ones that went to school, nobody can tell where they went to school. But most importantly, it was a reluctant position of the military to hand over power to another set of people who are their cronies in 1999. And each time we've had democratic rule, it did not evolve by itself. It evolved as a result of a conflict. When we had what could have been called democracy in 1960, it was because the white man reluctantly was leaving. You get my point? After they
Yeah.
have colonized us for years, uh, for almost 60 years at that point, as their real estate or supermarket. So they were leaving. This is okay. You should have some kind of democracy. It was a mixed, parliamentary system, a little bit of voting here and there through representation. The next time we had democracy was in 1979. It was the military reluctantly leaving as well through Obasanjo. So they manipulated the process to suit their agenda. Next time we had democracy, it was also the military that was leaving in 1990 that didn't want to leave, that was forced to leave. That one, they squelched it. The elections happened, free and fair elections, they destroyed it. And by the way, the people that destroyed that opportunity are the ones now that are reorganizing themselves in other political parties and say they want to save Nigeria. The next time we had democracy was 1999. It was also the military. They midwifed it. Okay, you want democracy? You say you're tired of us. We're going to make it. And then what did they do in 1990? They hand over the country to morons. And I mean it. It was not a democracy, it was a morontocracy. Morons just took over the country. People who were against democracy, people who were fighting to have military rulers change their uniform to become Agbada people. They are the ones who eventually took over as them so-called democratically elected government. And those are the worst set of people. So when it was time for them to leave power, they started manipulating. Obasanjo started manipulating them. He didn't want to leave. He wanted a third term. So he reluctantly left because he was forced to leave Obasanjo. He made sure that the person who succeeded him was not even, he was barely alive. He wanted to punish the country. So the string of what I'm telling you is that most of the people that we have voted for, they were voted into power. The process of transfer and transition was not democratic. It was reluctance, annoyance, anger. That, oh, you want to force me out? I'll give you the worst you have never seen before. So when Obasanjo left, what did we have? Yaradra came, he died, and then Jonathan, product of reluctance, came, and that one came, and then he became president. Abi, when he left, everybody said, no, he didn't do well. Then Buhari came. His election was supposed to be democratic because people actually were excited about it. And then he became the worst. And then changed the whole democracy, brought some of the most incompetent, most of the most wicked people into government. And it destroyed the institutions that support democracy, the judiciary, the military, all of them, the fiscal sector, with the worst central bank governor in place, and they're just stealing and stealing. So all of this I've been telling you, if you look at the history of Nigeria, you understand why we never really had what you can call democracy. And in addition to the fact that the people we got the democracy from, they themselves, they are not demonstrating craziness, as Fela said.
Omoyele, but you've been constantly attacking. Let me put it that way. Uh, Governments of Nigeria. Let me put it that way. You've attacked the Good Luck Ebere Jonathan. You attacked Buhari. Now you are on Tinubu. And you've always preached revolution now. So what
Yes.
do you have anything to say about that? And why is it that you are on Tinubu? You called him criminal the last time he was in Brazil, and
Yes. Oh, he was in Brazil. Yeah, because he made a statement that there's no more corruption in Nigeria. And I called him criminal because I know he is. And we're trying to prove it in court, but the judge, of course, was on their side, so he doesn't want proof. started. It was the judge that asked my lawyer to come and kneel down because he said it was interrogating Tinubu's witness too much. So you have mentioned all the governments successively. It is because I was in Brazil in 2022. No, no, 2002, sorry. And I think I came back again around 2014 or so. And I couldn't believe the development I saw in Brazil between 2002 and when I came back some 10 years later. Um, I was in Porto Alegre in 2002, and I walked into public buses. In the public buses have television that are teaching students who are coming back from school. So when you leave school, your education doesn't stop. When you get into the public bus or school bus, as I said, the education continues. And I'm like, but Brazil started out almost the same time Nigeria started out. How did this happen? Leadership. So Brazil now produces some of the best, mid range jets. They are using their resources to the benefit of Brazilians. We are using our own resources to the benefit of our own criminal leaders to build houses, to buy expensive jets, and to change the people, to steal what belongs to everybody. And I haven't found any leader that has done differently what that is not opposite to what the public expects or what I have as expectation. So there's no reason belaboring the issue that as long as I haven't found any competent leader, honest leader, a leader has mission or a vision that can take Nigeria out of the very terrible situation that they put it, I'll keep attacking them. I'll keep challenging them. And I've looked at it in totality that you can't really fundamentally change Nigeria without some force of mission. And that is what made me to start advocating for revolution since 2019. For your information, my interest in revolution started from the university, but it was in 2019 that I came out publicly to declare revolution now.
Yeah. Uh, Now, what if elected the president of Nigeria? What would be your first three major actions within your first 100 days in office? What would you do?
Oh, I've stopped having this conversation about 100. What's the meaning of 100 days in office?
Okay.
It's a ritual brought by lazy people to office. Is there 100 days in office in Brazil where you live? Has anybody been elected in
Oh,
Brazil?
that's what you that's Nigerian.
Exactly. It's a
Thing.
Nigerian palace. It's not something that is proper to discuss. You are appointed, you are elected to office to go and act for 4 years. You take out 100 days and you start celebrating. Utter laziness. And the idea of what's the first three things you're doing? No, we're not doing three things. You are elected as the president of Nigeria to do all things. And you must start doing all things the day you arrive. The moment you are sworn in and you enter the official car and they drive you to the presidential villa or wherever you are staying, your work starts. There's no 100 days. You must keep going until your tenure is over, which is 4 years. And everything must start. You must start doing everything. You must start working on electricity, working on security. You must start working on education, working on healthcare. You must start working on employment. There's nowhere in the world where, except in Nigeria, that measure people that the performance of government is measured in 100 days. In the US, they must do it on a monthly basis. You must have job reports. They must show how many people got employed and people lost their job. Are you getting my point? So what are you
Yeah.
waiting for? Yes, the work starts on the day. That's what that's what you're elected to do. You're not elected to come and be celebrating in newspapers. Foolish people. I've never seen them. I haven't seen people that foolish than in Nigeria. They will go and take newspaper adverts, 100 days in power. All of them, all these lazy loafers, all these rentiers, and they will be celebrating. And In 100 days, the person that they are celebrating hasn't done nothing. They do it for governors, they do it for presidents, they even do it for the wife of the president and the wife of the governor, who is not officially elected to do anything. They're just helping their husband loot the treasury of the state and the federal government. So I'm not going to be part of that ritual, my brother. Ask another question. No 100 days. I
Okay,
start from this
let me
time.
go that way. Okay, let's move ahead.
Yeah.
We have three major candidates. Let me put it that way in Nigeria, vying for presidency, and of course yourself. You've not. Let's say you've refused to make any alliance with any political party. Let me put it that way. We have Peter Obi, we have Atiku, we have Tinubu. How would you describe the three candidates?
I disagree with you. They are not major candidates. They are major candidates in your psyche because they have planted in your mind that they are major candidates. How can you live in a country and your three major candidates are the people who have failed the country the most? What's wrong with how we process these people? There's nothing major about them. Every candidate running an election for president presented by political party, because candidates are presented by a political party, is a
Yeah,
major candidate.
yeah,
Any one of them can win,
yeah,
but they have perfected the idea of this self-defeatism of Nigerians, particularly to say, oh, three major candidates, so that you will not think about another candidate to vote for. You have already zeroed in on three failed, former, recycled failures. Nigerians must change that. When we are going to election, if we already know the candidates, three major candidates, why are the rest of us contesting? And if we are going to call them major candidates, let it be on the basis of performance, intellect, competence, character, and history. How can you call a Tinubu who has pushed your country 150 million people into multidimensional poverty? How can you call him a major candidate? You should say we have three major failures who are going into the presidency of Nigeria, and you should name the failures. And then you say these are your three other best candidates if you want to do three. And then you look at their history, you look at where they're coming from, and you look at their ideas. It is ideas that should determine major candidates, not the size of their uniform, their dress, or it should be ideas, it should be mission, it should be vision. And we're calling on Nigerians to change that narrative. You need to change that narrative too, so that you can look in the direction of people who can push the country in the direction of progress. Next time when you want to see say we have three major recycled failures: Tinubu, Obi, Atiku. Now you'll be talking. Have you frozen? I think this guy is frozen on this, and so I can't find him. But I'm on his show, and we're discussing candidatures, and I just don't like when Nigerians claim that some candidates who have failed recycled people are major. How are they major? Don't want to call somebody a major candidate, you be that the person is going to make the country better. This one, Tinubu, that is failing and falling every minute, you call him a major candidate. Atiku, that has failed in every job he was given, customs, vice president, you're calling him major candidate. Obi, that failed for 8 good years in Anambra, you're calling him a major candidate. And the people who have ideas, people who are capable of pushing your country in the direction of progress, people who you can relate with, people who you can talk to, people whose idea you can distill, people you are even proud of. You say, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you. Those are your major candidates. It's the people that should determine their major candidates, not these failed people. I think you were frozen, and I kept going anyway.
yeah. The internet went down just.
So you
But
people
we
have
can.
problem? Did you have MTN in Brazil too?
No, no, we don't have MTN in Brazil. A call came in and What do you mean empty? Yeah, I just want to ask you a question. I want to ask you. I want to describe who Tinubu is. How would you describe Tinubu? You just mentioned Tinubu failed. He promised. He made a lot of promises. He came to Brazil. He promised us of a direct flight and
Oh,
businesses,
is
and
there a direct flight to Nigeria now?
no, we don't have. We don't have that.
Yeah.
That's the
Tinubu,
problem.
Tinubu is one of the people, one of the worst people, I'll tell you, politically in Nigeria. We always describe them worst, 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 but Tinubu, in my own case, in my own opinion, my background. I was a student activist, then street activist, and then I went and did journalism. And when I was doing journalism through Sahara Reporters, I did a lot of writings and investigation on these guys. How Nigerians ended up with Tinubu is still a surprise to me. Like, this guy is one of the most terrible human beings politically. Somebody whose primary school you don't know, whose real name you don't know, his village you don't know. It's not as if some of these things are compulsory, but if somebody is such a fraud, I don't know how to describe fraud more than Tinubu. And then the only publicly known issue, thing he has ever done internationally is to be part of a drug cartel that is selling heroin, documented. So I don't know who's worse than that. Every other person who we know is a drug dealer, we suspected. We're not sure. But this one, documented drug dealer. This guy was selling heroin, and his name is all over it. His wife's name is all over it. And we're still debating, oh, what do you think about him? What else do I want to think about him? Even the NDLA law, the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency law that established, says that if somebody has been a drug dealer before, even has stopped dealing in drugs, he's still liable for the crime of drug dealing. If
But
I were
we've
to
not been
become the
able.
president of Nigeria today, I will still arrest. I will ask the NDLA to arrest Tinubu and find out how he was dealing in cocaine and who were his partners and which routes were they using. It should help us.
Well, a lot of accusations, but we've not been able to see real facts.
No, no. What facts are you looking for? You have never read the
Yeah,
affidavit
we've read
over
a lot,
his.
but we've not been able to see a concrete proof of
Or you want to
conviction.
see you want to sniff the heroin that he was peddling.
Anyway, you see, the you you've been fighting for a better Nigeria for over 20 years. You've been up and down. You never tired. Uh, do you think we can still have a better Nigeria? Do you still believe in Nigeria?
Oh yeah, if I didn't believe in Nigeria, I won't. I won't be back here doing what I'm doing now. Um, I believe in humanity in general. I believe that anywhere can be great, and that people must put in work. Even the Brazil where you are today, the reason you feel comfortable there is that people put in work to make Brazil work. You get my point. Look at Brazil. Your current president has been in prison before for corruption, right? The one that they took over from is in prison as we speak for
Yeah.
treason. Nigeria don't send their past president to prison. That's why Nigeria is like this. I would love to see an Obasanjo in prison, Jonathan, Buhari before he died, even if it's to spend like a week in prison for all the atrocities he committed. It would have been great to send some of these guys to jail for the atrocities they committed against Nigerian people, for corruption, for mass murder, genocide, and all those crimes against humanity that these guys committed. It would have been great to have them pay some price for it, like you guys are doing in Brazil. And I think that that's probably why Brazil is a better country today. I'm not saying it's perfect, because I know that there's a lot of corruption in Brazil. Yeah, I read about it. I've been in Brazil myself, but you could tell that there are institutions in Brazil that are working to right some wrongs, perpetrated by powerful people in that society. But
There's a,
here
there's a
in
question
Nigeria,
here for you. There's a question. I think there's a question from Alaji, the president of Nigerian community in Bahia. I think he's
yeah,
asking you if you have an. I think what he's asking here. Do you have evidence of the accusations you're making?
yes, I do. I published. I was the first person to go to the archives in Chicago. I bought Tinubu's crime record for $76. I was the first person to publish the drug history affidavit and the issue about how he was made to forfeit $460,000. So what people don't understand is that when people are accused of crime in the US, they play bargain. They will bargain with the authorities and say, look, hey, don't drag me too much. Let me leave some of this money for you so that you don't charge me officially for criminal acts. That's what Tinubu did. So that's why they went for the civil forfeiture. But police officers, drug law enforcement officers, FBI officers actually investigated him, interrogated him, and obtained statements, did extensive criminal investigation, only for them to arrive at some kind of closure by saying, okay, instead of dragging you through the court for being criminally liable for dealing in drugs, we're just going to collect some of the money and let go. So that does not erase the fact that he was drug dealing, Mr. President of diaspora in Brazil. No, he knows himself. We have the records.
Yeah, we had something of Peter Obi to something of such in Panama. You have any idea of that too?
So Peter Obi's own case that is documented uh, investigation is that he took money from Nigeria and was hiding it in Panama. Uh, that's the Pandora box, the Pandora investigations. Peter Obi, that's why I tell you, all of them are the same. Peter Obi was involved also in laundering money when he was Anambra State governor. He would carry money by road from Oka to Apapa, his office. And at one time, the policeman who he was using to carry the money to drive by road decided to report him to the police in Apapa, and they buried the case. But there's also evidence that he took money from Nigeria and was hiding abroad so that nobody would know where the money is located. That was where he was busted. So I've reported on Peter Obi a lot too. Forget about all these people who are saying Peter Obi has integrity and all that. It's just packaging, because they want to package him in such a way. And the style they use in packaging Peter Obi is to scare you from asking questions. If you ask any question about, oh, what did Peter Obi do as governor of Anambra State? They will abuse your father, your mother, they will say, Waka, middle finger, how dare you ask? But that is his strategy. That was his own campaign strategy to cover up his own atrocities. They will even tell you that, oh, he's never been invited by the EFCC before. But he even confessed that he's been invited by EFCC before. Tinubu has never been invited by EFCC before. But Tinubu has been tried by the Code of Conduct Bureau. Atiku has never been tried by EFCC before. But Atiku was also involved in corruption that led him to run away from the US. I was the one who did the story about his Potomac house and how his wife, who is now divorced from him, one Jennifer, was helping Atiku to collect bribe into the account in the US. When they found out the person that Atiku was bribing in the US, the congressman, they found $100,000 in his refrigerator, in his freezer, put in a foil. So all these people, Atiku and Obasanjo fought, and we saw the history of how they were spending PTDF money that was meant for scholarship for students. Obasanjo went and used it to buy a car for his girlfriend. Atiku they just wasted Nigeria's money, wasted Nigeria's life. That's why I said, please, I'm begging you, don't be calling these people major candidates. Call them major failures.
Major failures.
Yes, these guys failed Nigeria. Don't let anybody scare you. Especially all these Peter Obi people. Oh, your father. Yes, it's good, but your Peter Obi is part of them. He failed Anambra for 8 years. Understandable. He did not build a single classroom in Anambra. Didn't build any hospital that he can go to. Built no road that is still in existence in Anambra. He was just packaged failure as well. Same thing with Tinubu, same thing with Atiku, all these major candidates. Or Kwakwanso. Kwakwanso impoverized Kano to the point that Kano, he kept using the Amajiris there to do his politics. So we must, nobody can stop us from talking about these failed men, and some of them women too. But there are less women amongst them because they don't like women in political power. They just like to put cloths on them when they want to do rallies and have them sweep after the rallies and use them as signboards. And women must rise up too and reclaim their place in Nigeria.
But you see, many Nigerian use that as a question here for you.
Yeah.
She's from Laosho. Many Nigerian youths admire your courage, but some doubt your electoral strategy. How do you plan to convert activism into electoral victory? I mean, how do you
See, my own is to be out there to tell you who I am transparently. I think I'm probably one of the people in Nigeria that have lived my life almost transparently my entire life on the pages of newspaper. You knew where I went to the university. You know my primary school. You know my secondary school. I went to secondary school twice. You know my university. You knew when I went to America. You know when I went to university there to do my master's. You knew what I was doing when I was at Sahara Reporters. You knew when I came back to Nigeria. You knew when we started Take It Back movement. You knew when I started the AAC party. So transparently, if the young people of Nigeria, old people of Nigeria, diasporans of Nigeria want to change the objective conditions, up to them. So this idea that, oh, you don't know how to play politics. What is politics in Nigeria? The person who knows how to play politics, as far as some of these conversations are concerned, is the person who will steal from you, rob you, and wait for election time and give you 0.0.0.01% of what he robbed you. That's the person who knows how to play politics to them. But that's not politics. That's transactional systems of destroying a society. And if they know how to play politics so well, the way you describe it and the way you package it, the way you decorate it, why is Nigeria your country like this? They're not playing politics. They are gambling with your life. They're not playing politics. They are meeting now and say, look, how much can we steal in the next 4 years? This is what you get. This is what you get. And then everybody takes what they can. They leave your schools in bad shape. They use the money made for building schools to send one child. They will use money made for training 5,000 kids. They use it to send one child to go to a good school in London or Switzerland or America. And then when the child is done with school, he start taking drug. They start to give them card. They can't even work when they send their children to school. They can't even survive. They can't compete with children who went to community schools. So those are the people you praise as understanding politics. What is somebody has to break it down to me? How's that politics? That somebody stole your entire savings and your savings into the future. That somebody destroyed the road that's supposed to go to your village. He didn't do it. He got the contract 20 times, never did it. And then he builds a mansion in the village and is running for office, and you go and wait in front of his house. And when I walk by you and say, no, don't do that, you say, I don't, oh, forget your as an activist, don't know how to play politics. I don't want to play that kind of politics. I
Yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to be.
yeah, yeah. But Showore, they've always the way you've always attacked the Nigerian police. You've always, uh, 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 I mean, always against the Nigerian police. You don't want to hear the police. You've been advocating against, the one that was removed.
Because that one was that
You
Betokun.
know,
That one was
you know,
useless.
and
I don't.
recently
Let
you
me tell you, I don't hate police. I don't
no,
hate
it's,
police.
it's like
I hate.
you
Yeah,
don't
no, no.
you want
Wait, no,
a country free of it's like you don't like the police. I mean
no.
that's
I don't like the Nigerian police the way it is constituted. I don't like policemen who beat up people because they are
but
uniform.
don't you think
I don't like.
you obstruct
I don't
justice in
like.
that manner?
No, 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 not at all. I don't like policemen who collect bribe to subvert justice. I don't like policemen who come and pick you up because you interview me. If you're in Nigeria, there are things you will say here. If you're in Nigeria, police can come and arrest you. Do you know that?
Yeah, yeah, I know. I've been threatened several times. I know.
So I'm sure they threaten you all the time. They will say if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
come to Nigeria,
of course,
they'll
I
wait
know.
for you at the airport. So I
No, I
don't like
know.
those kind of police. But don't also forget that I was the one who fought for police. I did a whole police protest in 2025. I got over 74,000 policemen promoted. 74,000. That is almost 30% of the police force. Some of them have never been promoted since they joined the police force. Some had been in the same position for 4 years. I mean 8 years. But I separate that humanitarian gesture from my critical way I look at the police. I've never obstructed police before, but if I meet police doing what is wrong, I will fight the policeman there. When I filmed policemen on the way to the airport in 2025, some of these diaspora people say, "Oh, you have no right to film police." Some of these are diaspora brothers and sisters. It is what they are in Nigeria that they become also in diaspora. If they're ignorant in Nigeria, when even diaspora cannot change, cannot help them become wise. So, but it doesn't apply to everybody. Some people actually do pick up and become smarter when they travel abroad. So because travel is supposed to give you education. So Wetokon arrested me for filming police who were collecting bribe on the way to the airport. But because I did that, they stopped harassing people. I heard they went back later. And later on, a judge in Delta State ruled, I think last month, that everybody has a right to film police with their camera. This camera I'm wearing, it's this glasses is camera is Ray-Ban glass camera. Police took it from me.
Yeah.
I fought them and got it back. And most people have it now. So it is one of the ways you fight police in Nigeria. Just turn on your camera as they are talking. The moment they see it, they behave. They start behaving well. Because the only way we have been able to push back against police brutality, you won't be surprised, is because of our ability to use technology to slow them down. Otherwise, the police force is a criminal force. Criminal force. I don't know where they recruited some of the people they have in the police. You saw the one that shot somebody on the street, like beginning of the month of May. Did that not shock you that somebody would like remove the magazine of his AK-47? He shot that guy at first, the thing didn't go through. He removed the magazine, put in one bullet, and shot him through his heart. Is that the kind of police you want me to be nice to? I'm asking.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Recently, you've been advocating for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. You've been up and down. You've been fighting for his release, and we also I noticed you also spoke against Igbo's recent support. Tinubu
Yes.
government, and you even I don't know if I should use you even threaten to face Igbo if needs be. Do you think there's an injustice? There's something not going well with the Kanu's?
Oh yes. If I didn't think there was an injustice, I wouldn't have fought for him. Kano is a victim of Nigeria's structural injustice. There's an injustice built into the DNA of Nigeria, which started from the creation of the country, which is that it must be united at all costs, whether everybody in it dies or live. Uh, that so anybody who questions certain things in terms of the structural imbalance, the restructuring of Nigeria, is taken as an enemy of the elite class in the country. So when Kanu became their victim, I sided with Kanu. And I knew that the legal system they put in place was a charade to have a predetermined outcome. And that's what they did. When Igboho was equally facing assault by the Buhari regime, I supported Igboho too. I was even the only person who went to court to go and be with those who were arrested from his house and brought to Abuja. In fact, it was the day I came to court that they were granted bail. I supported Igboho too. But when Igboho went and declared that nobody else other than Tinubu can campaign in Yoruba land in the southwest, I felt that that was insane. But I never threatened him. I don't believe in violence. I couldn't have threatened him. But I did tell him that if I come to Ibadan, I'll go to Ibadan and campaign. And I did go to Ibadan after the threat. And I went one morning and I was in Ibadan for I think 2 days, and I ran in the morning. I ran on the streets because I do exercise. Uh, but he sent me a message and said that he was misquoted, and I take that. And he hasn't repeated the same thing. So I just take it that it was one moment of too much excitement. So, but he had no rights to tell anybody not to campaign in Yoruba land if they're not Tinubu. No, nobody has that right.
Sure, I won't take much of your time.
Yes.
We in diaspora, we are not quite happy with what we see, how Nigeria is going right now. You can see there's a question here. There's somebody Yakim saying, asking you to look into the situation of a building, something of such here in Sao Paulo, but in the name of a former ambassador. I mean, something like that. I think he's trying to report.
Okay, so they bought the embassy building in the name of a former ambassador instead of buying it in Nigeria, right?
Yeah, you see,
And they
we
said
we are
the embassy is now rented out as an individual. Yeah. So this is this is
somebody's.
this is why you see me condemning these people every time. I'm sure it's not only in Brazil. Nigeria Nigeria is a very is a country that was ruined by criminals. All these ambassadors, they will send them out to go and represent Nigeria. They will use Nigeria's money to buy houses are supposed to use to build the embassy. They will buy the embassy building and then start renting. After they are retired, they will be renting the embassy to Nigeria. Embassy that they stole money from Nigeria to do. That's why we can't wait to be in power in this country. We will reverse that in a matter of minutes and make the person pay the back rent that they have collected. Even if they are old, their children will pay because they have all benefited from the fraud. It's not only in Brazil. One guy's I spent 4 years in court because one guy also did a scam in the US. They sold the big ambassador's house, collected, he made them pay tax, and after that, went back and collected the tax and wanted to share the tax money, about $1.5 million, with the embassy official. We caught him, and he said it was a libel. He sued me, and the day he sued me, he was begging me. He called me and said, "You better beg now. You better pull down the story. Apologize." I said, "No, but I spent 4 years uh, in court with him, and eventually won. I won the case, and the ambassador that came after that sued him as well and made sure that they tried to recover the money. Of course, at that point, they had already spent all the money. So if you go to all our embassies around the world, it is scam, scam, scam. The ambassadors and embassy officials are working against Nigerians wherever. Most of them, I don't know. I don't know what happens everywhere, so don't let me generalize. But most of them are working against Nigerians. They are there to take whatever is left and ruin it. They're not ambassadors. And it stems from sending useless people to go and become ambassadors to Nigeria. People like Reno Mokri, uh, Femi Fani-Kayode. What do you think they would do when they go to the countries they're ambassadors? They will went and they will go and ruin the place, because these are dregs from your. How can you send your dregs in your society to go and be your ambassadors? It's better not to even have ambassadors than to send some of these characters to become ambassadors. So
Now let's talk
that's
of,
that's that's that.
now let's talk of Brazil now. If you become the president of Nigeria, what should we expect from you? How would you? I hope you do something that we in Brazil, uh, at least, but we've been promised direct flights by Tinubu. We've been promised direct flight by Jonathan. We've been promised direct flight by Obasanjo, and it's over 30 years now waiting for that. So if you become the
Let me
president
tell
of
you.
Nigeria,
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. And it's going. I told you I have another meeting that won't be
yeah,
more than 45 minutes. So we've gone to almost an hour. You see, one of the things that we do, and I've never missed word about it, is I will I will put in place a Nigerian airline owned by the Nigerian state, and I'll use that as the basis for turning Nigeria into a hub for aviation. So anybody that wants to come to Africa will stop over in Nigeria first. Just like everybody who is going anywhere now, stop over in Emirates, they will stop over in Dubai, they stop over in Turkey, they stop over in Abu Dhabi. So those ones are economic decisions. But our leaders, when they started Emirates, I think they said in 1985, they didn't have an aircraft. Nigeria had 27. Now Emirates had over 200. Done. They ruined it. So one of the things I would do is to put back in the air Nigeria Airways. It's easier if you have airways and you have an aviation hub for you to have direct flights. You can't have direct flights when you are using, and most of these private airline companies in Nigeria, they were created through fraud that they perpetrated on Nigeria Airways or even on our resources. So we might as well just own our own airline, staff it properly, manage it properly, and then people can fly it from Brazil, flying in from America, flying in from London, flying from South Africa, flying from everywhere. We'll turn this place to a hub. If we have our own airline, very pristine, well managed, most Nigerians will also be coming home. And when people come home, yes, when people come home to this country, they bring in money. You don't want to come home when you have to go through Germany first and you pay through your nose. If you have children that are coming home, you have to like spend over $10,000 just to buy tickets. So to come home is like $30,000 investment. Or if you have a Nigerian Airways, you know, you just come home straight. And from if you're coming from Brazil, fill it up. coming to Lagos. When you're done, we take you back. Abi, that's what we should be doing. It is wrong for us to have to come to Nigeria and you first of all fly 13 hours from Brazil to Dubai and then another 6 hours. And you know it's faster to get from Brazil to Lagos. You just do about, I think from Brazil to Lagos about maybe 7 hours
Yeah.
because yes, it's close to Senegal there.
Yeah, yeah.
Just fly.
Eyama was here to promise us of direct
Forget
flights.
about
The
forget about
airports.
those forget about those jokers. You know, look at his flight to London. Now everybody is stranded because you know how the airline was created now. So
I don't know. Maybe you tell us. Maybe you.
it was a process of fraud now through presidential amnesty under Jonathan. That's how they created Air Peace now.
Wow.
Have you not read about the trial in the US? That's what I'm telling you. They will go and use Nigeria's money to create something, and they will be saying that they are doing you a favor. Dangote refinery was created from Nigeria's wealth. It got all this forex from us. Now we are paying him through our nose, and some people are still defending him that he's a powerful businessman. Yes.
Anyway, thank you very much,
Thank you so
Modu
much.
Shewole.
It's nice being with you, and I hope to
Appreciate,
join you again.
and I hope you speak with us again some other time.
Very
Uh,
soon, no problem. I
and
definitely will.
you always put Brazil in mind. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
obrigado.
Thank you so much. I hope
Thank you.
to receive you again. Shehu, thank you so much, my people in Brazil. Uh, Samoyele Sowore, and I hope we can learn a bit. Thank you so much, Adeyinka Olaiya.